Let's slow down and build a journal. Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. Well, every month I'm going to be putting out a video in which to help you build a journal over the course of a year. Every month there will be one project that you will be able to do at home at your leisure. And this is something that we are doing on the Treasured Page Facebook group, where we have some girls that have joined a group to join a swap. They will be making their project once a month and then swapping it to another partner in the group. That's lovely. They're going to be showing pictures and we can all just glean some inspiration there. But what I wanted to be able to offer everybody over here on YouTube is the chance to craft along as well. And so the monthly project will be put up on the 1st of every month and you can just join in. And if you do that over the course of a year, you will have a treasured journal. All right, so this is what we need to do to begin. If you would like to join in, I'm going to be putting this in a playlist called Build a Journal. And the first 3 months are going to be dedicated to spring. So you can have that in mind when you're crafting. You can think about springtime and you could bring some of that into the decoration. If you've been following along with the channel, you will have seen how I have been dyeing some papers just using tea and then maybe putting some decorative inks on top. These were some of the papers that we have had come out of that session, and then I've got some other ones here just using tea or coffee stain. When I've been painting, there's been some old paint water and then just dyeing the papers like that, adding some spray, flicking tea, coffee, speciality ink from Tim Holtz. This is I think this was a spray that is walnut stain, or it is vintage photo, one of the two. And then some of the oxide inks do have some surprising colours. So if you were to have a play about with some oxide inks, even if you have the ink pads, so if you have an ink pad like that, you can put some ink down on some plastic and then spritz it with water and then lay your paper on top, and you can start creating a colour wash. And you'll find if you've got oxide inks that you get a surprising separation of colour, which can be of interest or not. You know, it's just an experiment. So to get involved in the Build a Journal, you'll be able to find all the videos in the playlist throughout the rest of the year. You will find a project put up there once a month, always on the 1st of the month. You're going to need to gather together a few things, a bit of a scavenger hunt for this one. You're going to need some papers, and you're going to only need 10 to 15 papers that are coffee stained, tea stained, ink stained, otherwise altered papers that were originally a photocopy paper. And you would get the size that's in your country. We're using European A4 paper here, but it is entirely up to what paper you use for photocopy, what size journal you want. All of those things will be your decision, because this journal will be for you. This is the special journal. You will be able to put all sorts of your wonderful special things that you have kept over the years, and you can decide what your theme is, what you would like, how you would like that. You are in control here. It's complete freedom. It's a freedom book made of clutter. All right, so it's a clutter book for complete freedom to play and explore. So when you've got some papers together, you really are only going to need 10 or 15 pages of that, and then you'll need some papers that are from other sources, so some more interesting papers that we like to put into journals that give them a little bit of intrigue, but also junk papers. So this has come out of an old book. These are lovely. I might want to cut those and make tags. So have a look for these sort of pages if you've got anything with music paper on it, or you've got a digital kit with something like that on it. And then just have a look if you've got some old recipe books, or if you've got some atlas that's no longer relevant because it's all from a time where now things have changed and the information isn't useful, then it is junk, isn't it? It's fair game. So you'll be looking for book pages, magazine pages, anything that you might want to put into a journal that is of interest to you. Now, the other thing I think you're going to find really useful to keep everything together is a large plastic Ziploc bag or a box, and that will keep all the things that you are doing within this journal together. So this is what I've been using for the Marianne North journal. It just helps me find the things, the scraps, and then these scraps go back into the journal, and that keeps the colour tone, it keeps the style, and I use the scraps when I want to embellish that. These things are things that I've made. I can now reuse them back into the journal for any more decorative elements that I want to put in there. And there is things that I've been using, and I keep the scraps all together. So that's one brilliant way of keeping yourself organised when you've got a project. All right, now I'm just going to bring you out and we'll see the reality of my desk. Here is a box that I have just been collaging some old papers onto, and this is a shoe box because I will be putting and here's all the scraps that I've used just as I've been collaging. I'm going to use those, believe it or not. We're going to be making some paper later on this month, so I'm going to be using these scraps and we'll make some paper pulp and ultimately make our own paper. That's another project, so everything that's waste from this task will also be used. But I just wanted to show you that I am decorating a shoebox for the purpose of putting things that I receive from others in here from my swap partners over on the Facebook page, because I have tasked everybody over there to only use what they receive. So if you have friends in your community that you have, maybe you receive swaps, this is a perfect project to build the journal and then add the things that you receive from friends over the year. So I'm just looking at a few things that I've been sent, and these are the things that I can use to add to this journal. I've got some sewing paper that I've been sent from Shirley. She was very kindly sent that to me. She sent me this lovely book page, and these are things that I feel I can either make a tag out of or I can sew in, so this could become one of the pages. And these are the sort of things that you would be looking to collect up. But what I want to show you today is the project for March. This is the March project, and we have the whole month to make it, and then on the 1st of April we'll get another project and we'll have another month to make that. And each time we make the project, we'll be building it into the journal signatures and ultimately creating the first signature by the end of spring. So by the end of May, we will then be moving into the next signature for the next 3 months, starting on the 1st of June, and then the 1st of July and the 1st of August. So it will come together, but slowly and quietly, and with plenty of time for us to think it through and do it. Okay, for this project, for the March project, I'm going to be using old book page. This is from a standard book. You can see it's that sort of size, and I'm going to be taking 6 pages from that to get the size page that I want to be working with. And I'm going to be using glue stick, scissors, and a napkin to achieve the look that I'm aiming for. I'm also going to use wet glue to apply the napkin to the book page, and then I'm going to use scraps and decorative things from my stash, from my scrap tray, things that I want to use to decorate the end result, but the napkin is going to do most of the talking because it's already quite pretty. If you haven't got napkin, then you could be collaging onto this piece of paper with other scraps and things that you may have. We're going to be making an oversized envelope that goes into the centre of our journals, and I'll just show you how we're going to put that together. This is not a new idea, but it is rather fun. So we're going to be making a binding, hiding envelope for the centre of our first signature. And this is in the style of something to do with spring. So think flowers, birds, you might want to use yellows, daffodils, that sort of thing. All right, so I'm just going to show you how I'm going to construct this, and then you will be able to use whatever you want to decorate it. You do not need napkin, it's just the way I'm tackling this. So I'll show you how I'm doing it. Alright, so you're going to take your stick glue and you'll put a slick of glue down one side. You're going to just stick the pages together to create a larger sheet of paper that's ultimately really thin. So the sort of recycled papers that you get in a book are often a lot thinner, and they are nice to use because they're not as rigid as a photocopy paper. So photocopy paper would be okay, it's just that it's often a lot thicker than book page, and it's not as interesting because you're going to end up with a nice book page background for which to start your decoration, the fun bit, the collage, the bit that we enjoy doing, and it already gives you that nice base layer of book page at the back. So it's really straightforward. This, you might even find that you want to make more than one for your journal. Okay, so far so good. So we've got our 6 pages all stuck down, making one larger sheet of paper, and as that glue sets, that will become nice and sturdy. Okay, the next thing to do is to take your wet glue, a brush or a spreader. I have used clear PVA glue here, but you could use the school glue. But the white school glue would be absolutely perfect. I am using vintage book page here. If yours has a slight musty smell, you might be interested to use a scent to your project. I'm actually just going to add a little bit of a citrus scent in here so that my swap partner can enjoy a shot of grapefruit in their journal, and that is just going to be fun. I'm not sure if this is the one I'm giving away. This is my tester. So we're just going to paint on some glue, getting the edges done. So book page, it does suck up the glue, and I've just gone and torn it there because it is quite fragile, this one. It's a bit damp, so it has torn. So I'm just doing a repair one here and putting that over the ripped bit. So that's fine. Easy peasy. If you've got anything like that, if you've got a little tear, you could easily repair it. So we're going to take the napkin and we'll just do the trick where we squash down the dimples until it separates itself, and then you'll find, I'm not sure if this is a 3-ply, most of them are 3-ply, and then we'll be able to just pull them apart. Yes, it is 3-ply, but to get at the different sheets. We are wanting the decorative top, and we will keep the other to do a similar thing. So pull them apart, keep the backing papers, the white papers, because we use those to make other things. We'll make glassine bags, or we'll just do the same with the glue, and we'll make faux rice paper with those. There's plenty that we can do with those backing papers. Alright, so I'm just going to lay on my napkin here. Okay, so it's a bit of a sticky business, but we're just laying the napkin down here. From here, you just want that to squash into the glue that you've already got. If you start brushing over that, some of it may tear. So the best thing I find, if you've got a surface that you don't mind, you just flatten it out like that. Just flip it over and flatten it out. And then we come back round, a little bit sticky. And you can see that that has gone down, and where it's not soaked through, that's where you can go over with a bit more glue and get that to absorb in and really stick down. A little spritz of water into your glue can definitely help just to get things thinning down and to absorbing, so that you can get rid of all the white areas and you can just be able to get that nice and stuck down. So the water will help just to seep through any of this tissue paper, and you can see the book page behind, so it's really fun. Okay, so this is pretty much dry. I'm going to trim off all the raggedy edge pieces. Once this is dried and you've trimmed it down, you may want to press it under some books overnight so that it's not rolling up on you. Mine's still a little bit damp in places because I'm just working quickly here to try and show you. You can run a warm iron over it as well. So this is going to be the inside of your envelope, and we are going to be folding this in half now so that you've got it looking like that. And you can start to have a look at the patterning on your napkin cover. So I've got some quite nice flowers at the top there. What we are going to be making is something that flips in the journal, so you will be able to see front and back, and you can just have a look at how it all might look. So this is going to be the front on this side. So I'm now bringing in a page that I might want to use in my journal just so I can see the size that I've got to work with. This is just a folded A4 piece of paper, so this is now A5. But if you're working with American style copy paper, it may be coming out a little bit larger, but the technique is the same. So now we're going to work out how the flap at the top is going to look. You can either have a small flap over, or you could have a much larger flap over. I've got this large flower coming over here, and I quite like that, so I'm thinking that I would like my pocket to be like this. So I'm going to put in a fold line there. That's it. So I've used this as my guide. I've pulled the flap over, and now I can see that that's going to come down there like that. I've then got this amount to play with, so I'm going to use that as my guide, and I'm just going to fold up a bit at the bottom to give myself a guideline there. And then I open it up at the top and the bottom, and it's this bit here at the bottom, this front panel, that I'm going to be cutting away. And the same here, I'm going to be cutting that away, because I'll cut down my crease line here until I get to my crease line there, and then I shall just cut across the crease line. And because I've got book page, I can see I'm just cutting following the script line there, and I'll cut that away, and that gives me a spare piece to use elsewhere in the journal. I'm then trimming away the bottom piece as well. And just take that bit off at the end. The bottom piece is actually going to come in here and be something that we stick down. So now you've got these two off-cut pieces, which are perfect to be used for something else, and you're left with this shape here. So what you do now is you just ever so slightly taper it in by just taking off a little triangle section, and the same here. This does not need to be neat or exact because it's going to be hidden. So this is the flap that would then come in and ultimately allow this to be glued shut. I'm also going to just cut, I think I'm just going to lose a little bit extra here so that I've got room to put things in the pocket. I'm just going to open this up a little bit by taking off a bit more there. There we go, now I'll be able to get into that pocket, that's nice. And I'll just taper off that corner there as well. That's better. Okay, now on here I was hoping to be able to fold these in so that I could create a nice crease, sort of a gusseted side on here, but because this paper is so brittle it's tearing, so it's not going to work out. So what I'm going to do for this particular piece is just leave the flap at the bottom, and then when it's going to be sewn into the book there, this is going to hide the 3-hole pamphlet stitch binding, and then that will come over and it will be glued down there and along there. So that is now a pocket, and then we've got the flap here. We'll just work out what we're going to be doing on the top there as a closure. And I think what I'll do in here is have an extra writing space, so I'm going to glue another panel on there for writing space so that this will strengthen it up and allow it to be able to be flipped over and written on. And then that is essentially all we're doing. Okay, so this is very, very thin. That's lovely. So here we have our pocket, which will become a flip. It's going to be sewn into the book. So it's going to become one of the pages, is going to be sewn into the book here. Okay, so this could look like a giant seed packet if you wanted it to do that, and I've done it with the flap here. You could even have it stuck down so that comes out and looks like one of these giant money pockets or a seed packet. You could even have a decorative scalloped edge down there, so that will all be glued shut and have a feature. It could have some lace trim on it. It could be stuck down, wrapped round with a bit of trim, fabric, ribbon, anything really. There's no end to what you could do to decorate it. I'm going to open this out. Because I've used quite brittle paper here, I'm thinking I just need to strengthen up this middle bit because that is where the binding's going to be. Well, I've used a very brittle book page here, and we've got napkin. There's not a lot of strength to the project because it is needing to be very thin to keep the bulk of our journals down. I'm going to be strengthening this crease mark here because I think when we sew it in, it just needs a little bit of extra strength. This is only because of the paper I have used. You may feel that yours is fine. But I'm just going to add a little bit of washi tape here just to give it a bit more strength. There we go. I'm just going to burnish that into the pages, and now when that gets sewn in, it will give it a little bit more strength. So we need to leave this open for the time being because you're going to need to be able to get to this to sew it in, tie off your binding, and then you will be shutting it up. You'll be gluing along there, gluing up here, and you will be bringing this flap over, concealing your binding, gluing the whole lot down, and then you've got this fab pocket, and then from there it will swing into the journal and it will be front and back. Okay, so if this is part of your signature and you want this to be the center, you would then add in your pocket, and from here you would be able to use this as one of the pages and you would be sewing it in there, and then you would just glue here and up here and bring this panel over, hiding your binding inside and ultimately gluing that down, and then the top as well. This becomes a really cool oversized seed packet style, and if you give yourself a nice glued in border, you will be able to trim this as well if you need to. If it sticks out or you're not happy later and you want to trim a little bit off, then you would still be able to do that. If you've put a crease and you bend that in, you either make that shorter and then that's fine, or you leave it so it could be trimmed. But I have done it this way. The other way to do it would have been to put the fold in there and sew it in there, so you're gluing it shut like that. You then keep this bit into the crease of the journal. But I have done it this way because I liked that attractive bit flapping over the top. All right, now I'm going to tackle the policy closure. And what I've got here is a scrap of packaging which has been splattered with ink. So it was just a sheet of paper that I put down when I was doing some inking and splattering. I think that's quite a cool contrast, so I'm just going to use that. And I've got some packaging cardboard from a cereal packet. So what I'm going to do is take my hole punch and I'm going to punch out 2 circles. But there's absolutely nothing to say that the shape has to be round. It could be square. So you could just simply cut off some squares and have a policy closure using squares if you haven't got the circle punch. So for this, I'm just going to do this. I think I'll probably be okay. That's quite sturdy card, so I should be all right with that. And I'm just going to take 2 of those, and then that will become the top of these. And when you're doing this, you want to be gluing to the pattern side up, so you've got that underneath. So keep that as the underneath. If anything is seen, you won't be seeing barcodes or whatever. So you're going to be covering this up on the top. And for that, we just want a nice bit of glue that we can trust. I'm going to be using an art glitter glue. Here's something that's going to grab and keep those edges in place. And then I'm just taking my packaging paper and I'm putting that on top. And then we'll just roll that around until that's all stuck down. Just stretch it out, make sure there's no crinkles in there, that's all stuck down. And we have made something quite fun out of literally nothing. And again, it's just rubbish. It could be decorative paper, it could be more of the book page, or it could be a music paper, it could be anything really. Okay, so those are my little policy closure buttons. So you can either do this with eyelets. If you've got an eyelet punch, you could use that. You could sew them on with cotton, or you can use a split pin, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a little split pin brad idea, and for that I'm going to need to punch a hole, and I'm just going to poke that in the middle and use my awl. Try not to stab myself, which I just did, ouch, and then put the hole in like that. And the same again here, just looking at it where I think the centre is and punching through. So just punching through with the awl doesn't have to be exact, does it? It's junk journaling at the end of the day. We do not need to be precise. There are plenty of other crafts that require us to be precise. This is not one of them. This is playing, having fun. So I'm just going to choose a couple of those brads, and then we'll work out where these need to be. Place them where you think it's going to look nice. You can go random. You could have them off-centered if you want. That could also look quite fun. Or you can go traditional and have them where you think they should go. So I'll just do that for the demonstration of this. And then you just push your hole through to the other side so that you've made that mark where you want it. Same here, like that. So now we've got the holes. And then we take the split pin, push it through, and then put that through where you want it there, and open it up on the other side. Okay, and then we do that on the top as well. There you have it. So that is how to do that. Let me just take a little bit of string or embroidery floss, about 2 widths, about twice as long as the project, and just go round, put it round there, and then just tie it in with a double knot, and just secure that under there. That'll lift it up a little bit as well so that you can get around there, and then we just get the scissors in there, snip away the excess bit, and there you go. So now you've got a nice long bit here to play with, and we just loop it round a couple of times just to check that it works. So that's fun. And I don't think you want much more than that, so we'll just clip it off there. And then just going back to your scrap. And if you've got a smaller circle punch, this is a 1/2 inch, I've been able to punch out 2 more from that scrap, and then I'll just stick those together. Putting the string into the glue, I'm just going to sandwich those 2 pieces together and create a little swing end bit here. It's just quite fun. A little decorative extra for cost nothing. But you could put a charm on if you had something, or a little bead, something as small but flat. I'm just taking my black ink, and I've got a little tiny rabbit stamp there, and I'm just wondering if I can put that on this little swinging bit here, just to see. Oh, there we go. I'll do it the other side as well. There we go. That's fun. Little black rabbit swinging off there. It's just extras, little details. These little details make everything more special. There we go. So there's the large pocket that can be sewn into the journal. It's flexible, it's flat, it's pretty, it's easy, and ultimately you can add some more things if you would like to decorate it up further. You can add stamps and stickers, any sort of collage or stamp stickers, decorative elements, any kind of lace, entirely up to you. You could decorate that in whichever way you'd like. So if you've gone for a plain napkin, or you've gone for a collage, you might want to do more decorative elements to this. I think that that's lovely to leave it like that for somebody, because they can add their own bits to it, and you could even put inside this pocket some things for them to play with. So then there you are, that is what you have there, and it would look fun with some more labels or writing space or something. And just to tidy up this side of the brad or the split pin, it's a good idea just to maybe put over a little bit of tape just so that that doesn't catch if you want to put something inside the pocket in the future. It's not going to get all caught up, even though it's not going to be seen. You don't want anything catching, and up here we're going to do the same there. So that's fine to be left like that, but alternatively you may want to add some writing space for. And I'm just strengthening up the fold over flap. I'm going to hide my split pin back, and I'm putting down some writing space here. And I think that this could just slot in there quite nicely. I'm just going to ink around this and give this a lovely little vintage look. Nice little vintage look with a little bit of ink going around there now. And if you want to do a stamp or anything, you could do that. I think I'm just going to add a little decorative stamp up here. A little botanical leaf. There we go. And that's quite fun. That just signifies a nice little writing space for somebody there to write something in. And it also strengthens that flap up as well without adding bulk. And that is the policy closure that we've done with the ability for it all to be sewn in, and a little bit of extra strength down there with the washi tape. Probably make sure that you do a slick of stick glue there just to make sure that that all stays put, and then it will all be stuck down. So I've got a bit of a rip there, but it's going to ultimately link up. And then from here it's quite fun to add an insert, a tag, some writing paper, so that you've got hidden secret journaling. So you could use some of this as part of a tag or an embellishment so that it all works. And again there you might want a tab top like that, all in keeping, and something that you pull out. It's quite good to add a thumb hole here as well, and then you would be able to put something in there that is interesting to pull out. So that would be how you would tackle all of that. And you get scraps as well, which you can either add in there, or you can make the insert using these decorative scraps, and then it all ties together and becomes a workable piece. If you find the policy closure too fiddly, you could work out a nice slot system here where you simply glue that piece on there and then the flap tuck in, and then you don't have to do the policy closure. So this is up to you. It's your project. You adapt it how you like, but you could also have that strip that you cut off down here used to slip in and be a closure there. That's nice and simple. I would suggest you might want to strengthen that with another piece of thicker paper, so that it won't rip, because I've used some very fine book page there. But the purpose of that was to keep everything nice and thin and reduce the bulk in the journal, so it's nice and thin. All right, so that is the project for March. You have a whole month to go forth and make some of those. For the swap partners over on Facebook, we're just saying one of these with an insert. So the Builder Journal has the ability to be 4 signatures. If you like the idea of this, you could make 4, one for each signature. You could make one. You could make some to give away. You could make some for your journals, but it's a fabulous idea, and it's an old idea. There are lots of YouTubers that have done something similar to this, so it is just a lovely revival of a fantastic idea that's already out there in the community. And the ability to put your own collage, your own labels, your own little trims or interest on there, it's going to be able to be personalized, and that will be absolutely fun for anybody receiving it, or for you in the future when you want to embellish something. So it's quite nice to add photographs and put some snippets or some clusters on that. That would look fantastic. And then if you want to further embellish it with some of the birds, you could get some of the freebie birds that I've got on my coffee page, or you can have a go at making a cluster and adding that to it as well. So you could add a little bird embellishment and maybe a nice piece of lace or something. Or snippets, anything that's going to look beautiful in your journal if you want to showcase off some of your little extra trims and lace bits that you like, you could add that to this background and it all just pops and works. And that's how you would add little extras into the journal if you've got something like this as part of the pages that you're going to be sewing in. So there we go, and we've got the little swingy bit there, that's fun, and the whole lot comes together and it just is fabulous. There we go, so that is fun. So I hope you enjoy going off and making those. You've got a month to get all of that together if you're going to add it to your pages. And then this will be forming part of the signature that we can have, and that's going to look great in there. You can make it a little bit smaller if you want, and you've got the ability to trim it down as well if you're going to leave it open like that. If you do it the other way and you've got the crease there, you won't be able to trim it down, so you'll have to make sure that you've made it to the exact right size of the pages. But if you're just starting out, and for ease, I would do it that way because it's nice and easy then to sew in the pages without a shorter bit, and you will be able to easily get the binding in, no problem at all. There we go, that's how that will appear in a journal. And then you will have sewn it in, so it will now become one of the pages in the journal. It will swing open and you will be able to decorate it. Sew in a button, and then you can stick the whole lot down there as a nice idea, and then add some extra bits, and you'll be able to put pockets and things on there, and it will be a fabulous background for you, and you've got journaling space there on the next page. So that's how that's all going to appear in a journal. It's a really fun idea. I hope you have a lot of fun making those this month, and I will be back next month with another project for you to add to your first signature for spring, and we will be building all of this up as we go, and I'll be checking in throughout the month and just showing you what I'm doing with mine. Alright guys, so that's the project. Have a lot of fun with that. Okay, so thanks guys. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Give me a thumbs up if you thought that was fun. Like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the future projects, and keep an eye out for the playlist so that you can find all of the Build a Journal projects will be in Build a Journal playlist, and they will come out once a month, and if there's follow-up videos I will add that to that series as well, so you will be able to do it, and you can dip into that at any time because we'll be making it one signature at a time, so you can follow along with that as a resource. Okay guys, so give me a thumbs up if you thought that was fun, and above everything else, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.